Hello, this is In Sniper, and today I will be talking about the 6 different Pathfinder cores in Black Mask lore. Now, right off the bat, uh, if you're watching this, you probably don't have a very great idea of what Black Mask lore is, which is hard to do in a single video, considering just the immense depth and size of the lore behind it. It's basically a roleplay server and almost a book in itself on Discord. Anyway, what we're going to be talking about today is the 6 different Pathfinder cores, which are Chap, Stalin, Wolf, Grey, Rafa, and Hefe. Now, these are not technically the originals. Originally, in the early 2030s, there was 3. You had Elder Red, Elder Wolf, and Elder Grey. Now, we already know from what I said before, one of those people isn't here anymore, that being Red. Red was killed in, I believe, about 2035 by Serbian fleet forces when he took an expedition to Europe. He basically took almost his entire Pathfinder corps of close to 10,000 people, went to Europe after the war, well, shortly after the war, a couple years, and they were staying there, everything was going well. Then the Serbian fleet shows up, there's this massive war, great quotes, yada yada yada. That's something for a different video. Anyway, he dies, where it takes a while, but eventually gets back to the United States. And the few members of his corps that remained ended up splintering off into different groups, leaving the Pathfinders, joining other elders' armies, or even in the case of Rafa and Chap, creating their own. Basically what happened was Red was known for being this kind of all-around, kind of almost American guy. He was violent, patriotic, but also a very nice and level-headed kind of guy. So when he died, a lot of people were angry, they didn't know what to do, and shit just happened, is the easiest way to say it. Getting into specifically the differences between them, obviously you have Wolf and Grey, who are pretty much the 2 main ones that we see in the lore and then in gameplay, especially because they were the ones involved specifically in the Black Hat Civil War with the gang, and so now they have a large presence in Georgia, even though Wolf has his headquarters all the way up in Washington, and Grey has his all the way up in northern Georgia of the United States. Again, they don't have a presence overseas anymore, mainly because, well, you have the Asian Union fucking them up if they go over there, and then the Serbian fleet in between them and all of Europe and Asia. Anyway, you have Chap and Stalin in Canada. We don't see much of Stalin, but it's just inferred that he's not exactly a very fair and nice elder. I'm not saying that he's mean or he's a dictator, anything like the Stalin from World War II. But some background information is that he is indeed Russian. He indeed is not exactly a good guy. He uses a lot of pyrotechnics in day-to-day operations. That's all you really need to know. Chap, on the other hand, is this kind of charming guy who's meant to be the model kind of Canadian-American person. He has a nice policing force. That's what his Pathfinder corps really does, is they go places, they're the kind of expeditionary force, they come in, they get everything regulated, they get everything orderly, and then Wolf and Grey and all the other Pathfinders send troops down there to regulate it and turn it into pretty much a colony. Stalin doesn't have much of a part in anything because, well, he's not really there in the gameplay. Wolf is, after Red's death, the main kind of combatant. He owns a lot of land. He has a lot of people under his name who are very violent and ready to fight, which makes him very good for those kind of in Georgia when the Serbian fleet came in. He was the main one sitting there with a massive army with the dire wolves and marauders and marines ready to fight them back. And that's what they do. You don't often see the blue hoods, grays, Pathfinders in the front lines fighting them. No. It's always the dire wolves. Gray hoods are fighting them. Wolf's Pathfinder's patrol is engaged in a firefight with Sergei. So, Wolf is a big kind of fighting guy. Gray is the more diplomatic guy. He is what the Pathfinders were originally even based on. This kind of, they wear these nice kind of casual civilian blue hoodies, and then they have plate carriers or load-bearing vests, and they just go around being good guys. They carry a backpack, they find people who are in need, they give them basic rations, just little cans of food or mashed potatoes, and they leave. They're nice people, they don't engage in fights, they try not to, they try to be very equal, supplying both sides of a war, but not supplying the combatants. They mainly supply just the civilian population. Moving over to Rafa and Jefe, who take over pretty much all of what Mexico and southern United States was. Rafa, again, isn't very much there gameplay-wise or even really lore-wise, but he is a very kind of reconnaissance. His special forces is the Green Berets, who literally walk around with 50 caliber sniper rifles, doing reconnaissance and killing anyone who they need to. They try to be a lot like Chap, being these kind of very nice and gentlemanly guys, while providing an ulterior kind of service to the Pathfinder cores as a whole. Jefe is even lesser known lore-wise and gameplay-wise. He's not really there at all, but he is a very kind of military spec ops. We're just going to sit back and police our own area until we're called upon in a meeting, or if somebody is getting a little too close. Like right now, they don't have much of a presence. They don't have anything. They're defending their own land. They're helping out people if and when they need to by their borders. But if the Serbian fleet was to go down into the Gulf of Mexico, and if they would go down there and really get into it, there's a great chance that Jefe would be one of the first people fighting back and really fucking up the Serbian fleet, because they're just begging for somebody to come and try and start shit with them. So overall, you have all these different cores, and even ones that are kind of in the making, like in 2066, and in the alternate universe, you have like Outer Gladiator, and I can promise you there's a lot on the way for if any of the current elders end up dying or leaving, or they conquer more area.